Welcome to the A2Schools podcast. I'm Andrew Cluley, the Director of Communications here at the Ann Arbor Public Schools. We've taken a bit of a hiatus on these podcasts, but we thought that now might be a good time to bring them back as we talk about the big issues that families are talking about this spring in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. Of course, Dr. Swift, our superintendent, is going to be joining us today on this podcast and these podcasts going forward. I know that recently, hopefully everyone has already seen the news, but in case you haven't, we recently announced that there will be a counselor/social worker in each of the Ann Arbor Public Schools elementary schools in the fall. That's some pretty exciting news. Dr. Swift, why was this one of the top priorities for the district?
You know, Andrew, I really appreciate the question. School counselors play an important role in ensuring that all of our students have an excellent and quality educational experience. You know, children can't learn if they're not feeling good and positive and confident and comfortable in the learning environment. So this has been a long need in the district, and we're so delighted to be able to add our counseling team at the elementary level.
So, Dr. Swift, I gotta say that I never had an elementary counselor when I was in elementary school. I barely remember having one in middle school. Obviously, the high school one did some work in terms of helping, steer you to college or which, those sort of career, lifelong aspirations. What will be the role specifically of an elementary counselor/social worker? What type of things will they be doing?
I love the way you introduced that question. It is a developmental process from preschool all the way to graduation in the district. And we have a long tradition of excellence with our middle and high school counselors. At elementary, it really looks like really two or three main areas of work. One is to help students feel good about themselves. So that kind of work with a counselor or social worker might be around how to recognize feelings, how to identify and moderate how we're feeling in the school environment, how to feel more comfortable and confident. Some techniques we see used in schools are around mindfulness and being able to move through the day and have your behavior match the part of the day that you're in. A big part of elementary counseling is really also, though, learning how to work in groups. So that has to do with interacting with other students, being able to develop those social competencies, which really are the currency of doing well in school and doing well on a job and doing well in life, is how do we interact and get along with others. And then, of course, that elementary counselor, social worker is also extending care toward those families who may have needs. At elementary, many families are new to the school environment. They may not know those resources that are available in the community. So that counselor is that connection often to what resources and supports and connections can be available to support students and families beyond the 8 to 4 school day.
Now, I know that obviously the impacts of COVID has definitely impacted children. And in some cases, it seems to be driving the need for these counselors even more. Is this designed to address sort of some of those impacts from COVID?
Like so many things, there was a need prior to the pandemic. Social emotional growth is really what enables students to be able to achieve academically. So it's always been an important priority in the district. You are so right, though, that the need for that social emotional development and support has increased during the time of the pandemic. So I think the answer to the question is yes and yes. We needed them before, and they are a critical need as we move out of this 22 and into the 22-23 school year.
So as we look forward down the road, assuming in several years, as the impact from COVID hopefully is waning, as students have become much more accustomed to the school environment, hopefully we're not back into the challenges of COVID dramatically. Will this positions in 4 years, 5 years, do you see these counseling positions at the elementary level as something that the district will still want and still have need for?
I believe that this is an important support component. Andrew, we've always had counseling and social work support at middle and high schools, and we just absolutely expect that those will be present. So I feel like with taking this step for 22-23, we are bridging a gap and establishing an even stronger foundation for the growth and learning and social emotional support of our students and families.
Okay, excellent. And how are we looking at funding these positions? Obviously, funding is always a challenge in schools. What are we looking at to make sure that we can pay for them?
Well, we have a grant opportunity through the state of Michigan. We will be applying for that and taking advantage of whatever grants we're able to secure. We have, however, the board has offered its support. We have made the commitment to these positions, with or without. We don't want to wait to see about the grant funding because that might take a few months to sort out.
Okay, excellent. Now, of course, then the flip side, there's paying for them, but there's also filling the positions.
Yes.
Obviously, we know that hiring in general, in schools in particular, but in really all kinds of industries, it's a challenging time to get workers signed on to actually come in and do the work that we need. What's the Ann Arbor Public Schools doing to make sure that these positions actually will be filled come fall?
That is exactly why we wanted to lead out in March, 5 months ahead of the start of the 22-23 school year. We are issuing our call wide for professionals, social, emotional, mental health professionals who are called to serve young children. This is not the middle school or high school counselor or social work position. These are really tailored toward students, younger students. And so we will be reaching and connecting to the universities and the schools of social work, really a wide campaign for folks, professionals who love and care about children and want to serve young children to join our team. We have a very high-performing counseling and social work team already in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. I believe that strength will attract talent and strength into the district. It's really a tremendous opportunity this year to get in on the foundation of this team and really build that strength going forward to serve our children well.
It is an exciting opportunity, and it's great to see this commitment about counselors for our youngest students as they enter elementary schools and face all those challenges that come with being a young student today.
Yes.
So that's exciting to happen.
Yes.
We also, here at the A2Schools podcast, want to just celebrate some good news in general. And I got to say that I've gotten to go out to a couple of the many musical performances that we've been able to have in person this spring. It's just exciting to have live music being produced by Ann Arbor Public Schools students happening again. Dr. Swift, can you talk a little bit about sort of some of those events that we've had and what just your thoughts on the fact that, having those students performing in front of their families and friends again?
It's been such a wonderful time during March. Andrew, we've had a great time starting with Orchestra. We don't say Orchestra Night anymore because it actually was Orchestra Day and Night. Then we've moved into our choral cavalcade events, and to have and see our students together, and parents attending and community members. It's just been an inspiring time. And, Bands in Review, we really have had a triple header with Orchestra Night and Choral Cavalcade and Bands in Review. And then really being at our high schools, at Hill Auditorium, that act of gathering to celebrate the arts in Ann Arbor Public Schools. It's just an inspiring time to see our students and see how much they enjoy performing music together. It's been a wonderful time.
Well, let's listen in just a little bit now from Orchestra, as you said, day and night. We'll hear some highlights of that coming up here in 1 second. But just want to remind everyone that if you want to hear some of the other performances, they're all on our highlights of them are on our YouTube channel, A2Schools YouTube channel. So you can tune in there and find just some highlights from those performances as well. But here's just a little bit of Orchestra Day and Night. So the A2Schools podcast is also wanting to make sure that we answer some of the pressing questions of the day. So we're going to try and each episode pull out one or two that we've been hearing pretty regularly and get Dr. Swift to share the answer. And obviously, we've just came out of spring break, but already people I'm sure are thinking about summer vacation and their summer plans and whatnot, which then inevitably leads to, well, when are we coming back to school? What's the school calendar look like for next year? Dr. Swift, what can you share in terms of what we know so far about the A2Schools calendar for the 2022-2023 school year?
I really appreciate the calendar question. It is that time of the year as we're looking forward to the start of 22-23. The first day of school for all students will be on Monday, August 29th, 2022. We know that's a little bit of an adjustment from that traditional start after Labor Day, a traditional day of start, and yet beginning on the 29th allows for a 4-day week, and then that long Labor Day weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then, of course, back to school following Labor Day. Many school districts across Michigan and the country have adjusted to this because it gives our students and our families and our staff the opportunity to get in, get adjusted to the year, and then still to have that wonderful Labor Day weekend. So, Andrew, we look forward to sharing the full 22-23 school year calendar. As you know, our employee groups and our teams are working through those details, and we will be publishing that early summer, likely. But at this time, we wanted to be sure and get the first day out to everyone so that the plans and summer camp and other plans could proceed. We're so excited to see everyone on Monday, August 29th, 2022.
Well, that's great to know that we've got the first day of school set so that families can put that on the calendar. That's probably the most important piece of information they can have right now. I'm also glad to hear that we're protected a little bit the Labor Day weekend so families can still head up north or whatever their Labor Day tradition is, that's still going to be an option. So thank you very much for joining us today on the A2Schools podcast, Dr. Swift.
Thank you, Andrew. We're so grateful for everyone who's joined us today on this podcast. We're working to deliver our updates and information in a variety of formats. There's a lot going on in the district every week. This is an exciting time as we come out of spring break and really look at that final 10 weeks of the school year, finishing strong and then having a great summer and looking forward to back to school in 2022. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, Dr. Swift. And if you enjoyed this A2Schools podcast, we hope you subscribe. If you have any questions or anything like that, A2Schools.org is the website. You can check out that. We have our YouTube channel, Ann Arbor Public Schools, on Facebook, Ann Arbor Public Schools. Lots of great places to find out information. And if you have any specific questions that you would like addressed on a future edition of the A2Schools podcast, go ahead and email them to communications@a2schools.org.